My friend, thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure, Nathan. And I hear you've just completed your 11th feature film.
Can you believe it?
I can, yeah.
You can?
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah, with you.
I love it.
Yeah. It's you're the supernova in the Australian film industry as Mr. Schlock.
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 Schlock, do it yourself.
It's a Yiddish word for, but the major mover and shaker in the schlock world of,
I appreciate it.
B-grade movies. Yeah,
I love it.
Yeah.
You know, I'm happy to take that title.
Are you all right with that? Because
I am.
Look, I'd be proud of it. I think it's a very special place, and I can't believe that Australia hasn't woken up to the work that you're doing out there and the sensational projects that you're doing.
I really appreciate that because I've found my audience mainly in North America.
Yeah.
So it's strange to sort of be at this juncture where I've stayed in Melbourne. I'm still in Melbourne doing what I do. I've stayed true to my roots. And I've always said, why do I need to go anywhere to do what I want to do? I should be able to do it where I'm born.
Sure.
But the audience is in America. So, I keep making product. Like my EP at the moment, he's in Los Angeles. But here I am in Melbourne making a movie for the Yanks. But I'm casting all the locals, and I'm giving people opportunities that that aren't getting the work here because we're so, as we've said, sort of watered down. It's ironic. It's ironic.
Well, it's fair enough. You find your audience where you can. There's a certain sensibility to every film, and the sensibility in your films is a more of an international sort of style. You've got it's part of the exploitation genre.
Agree.
Very much so part of that, but a different aspect of it, and that's also done very well overseas as well. So
yeah, I remember there was one distro that put out a double Blu-ray, which is Ozploitation Massacre.
Right.
And I had my first 4 films, and it sold out.
Great.
It was crazy.
Great.
But it was great to be in that kind of, I guess, pocket. And I worked with Mark Hartley recently because I was a fan of his Ozploitation documentary.
Yeah.
So it was great to, I guess, rub shoulders with him, and because I admire his work as well.
Right.
But yeah, Johnny, I mean, I'm having fun, man. Like I'm doing what I want to do. I've just kind of had a vision, and I've just stuck to it. When people have said you can't or you shouldn't or don't, or I just stuck to it.
Just do it. Just do it. Maybe just do it.
Yeah.
Just practice what you preach. That's absolutely what you got to do. Don't get out there and kick ass and keep making them. And but do try and keep getting better at it, though.
Well, I think you're right, though. I think you'll be impressed though with the new one. I think your camera's up. Camera standards gone up.
Good.
I've always tried to go up in one department. Whether it's the art direction or the sound or the camera. I've always gone up. Is there a film I've done where it's level? Hard to say. I'm hoping the next one.
Is there any film that's level? I mean, it's the challenge of making a feature film.
You can't really get it perfect, can you?
It's impossible.
Yeah.
Impossible.
Maybe that's what's kept me in it, because I get bored easily.
Right.
And I think if I was doing something else, it wouldn't be as challenging.
Yep.
Because I'm always striving to get that next best thing.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean? So maybe that's a kind of a blessing in disguise or something. I don't know. It's weird.
So what roles did you play on this one?
I can't wait to tell you. So I'm playing an astronaut who...
Lead? Are you leading again?
Co-lead.
Co-lead.
But there's more on the girls, so you'll be happy.
Good. That does make me happier. Yeah.
But I guess my inspiration was Ed Harris, like Apollo 13.
Yeah.
It was that classic Caucasian, quiet. Well, as motivation.
Yeah.
And he's very softly spoken. It's more action than words. Like the lead actress has a lot more. Like the dialogue's basically on her.
Right.
So I wasn't taking the back seat, but I'm more movement, because I had this sort of situation where with a prior film, I just found like it was so dialogue heavy, it could have almost been a play. And I kept saying, "Show it, don't tell it."
Yeah.
So that's what I've tried to do in this one. I've said I'm going to show this character. I'm not going to tell the whole thing.
Good.
The girl, the wife character can talk a bit and help the audience figure bits and bobs out. But that's what I've tried to do. So he's an astronaut that's gone to space on his first mission. but come back somewhat changed.
Oh, okay.
And his wife has to
Okay.
figure out why
Right.
and what's happened to him in space when there's been an accident of some sort.
So what genre?
We're going to call this one sci-fi thriller drama.
Okay, good.
And I haven't really done sci-fi properly. I mean, I had a sci-fi kind of aspect in my very first
expensive.
film. It is.
Yeah,
And I never thought I'd do it. I've never touched on it because I thought I'd never be able to afford it.
Right.
But I finally figured out with my EP a story that might work. So we kind of had minimal CGI stuff and minimal green screen, more on the drama. Kind of like Reservoir Dogs, where it's a heist movie, but you don't see the heist. It's kind of in that vein. So we refer to it and we see NASA symbolism and we see things and news reports and whatnot. But it's more about the tragic love story about the couple in amongst that.
Right. So you're a producer, you're a director.
Yep.
You're
Co-lead.
Co-lead,
Co-writer.
Co-writer. Oh, co-writer.
Co-writer, co-concept.
Who was a concept and who was joined with?
Concept is really my distro in the States that put out my Alien documentary.
Oh, great. Okay.
So because I
you're
kept
listening to your audience type situation.
Yeah, definitely. Yes, absolutely. I'm glad that you asked that.
Yeah.
Because I kept saying to him, look, I want to make fiction. And he kept saying, your fiction's great, but you're not going to make the dollars.
No.
You've got to try a documentary. So I did some docos and they actually did pretty well. And then I said, but what if I want to do another fiction film? He said, well, take the Alien idea and let's go down that path.
Great.
He's a big fan of Starman.
Yep.
And we tried to kind of not mimic, but use that as inspiration.
Right.
Yeah. So more drama. But then, he was right.
Was he co-writer as well? Or?
Yeah, co-writer, co-concept. Then we've got an American co-writer as well. I've also got an Australian co-writer who's in Africa at the moment, who was working out of Africa actually on the script, which was amazing.
Right. Okay.
So my little team, and but also one thing about his style is, and he kept reiterating it to me, he said, have the treatment and shoot from the treatment. Because now what they're doing with the indie stuff in LA is they don't actually go to the lengths of writing the whole script. They just have the idea, then they get the actors together to improv, and then they cut from that.
Yeah,
and I'm sure you know that style.
So
I tried to incorporate a bit more of that in this one, and that was really interesting.
Yeah,
because you get those pocket moments, and that sometimes comes across a bit more real, a bit more observatory, a bit more almost documentary.
And for me, you're a bloody good producer because you know, just the record of 11 feature films under your belt, and having distributed them and audiences watch them, and you know that's an extraordinary sort of genre reputation that you've built for yourself. But you know,
but honing
it, fine tuning it, which I'm glad to hear. It sounds like you've backed off a little bit and you've understood your own performance,
ebb and flow.
Your genre,
I've monetized my own catalog.
Yeah.
And it does. Talking about it like this, it does sound very self-indulgent. I hope it's not too. Well, then again, I've got an audience. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. You've succeeded, and you're still alive. You're still financially and commercially, you're still doing it.
Yeah.
So whereas the majority of the population out there, the competition, your competition as a producer. Let's put it in my competition as a producer.
Yep.
There ain't many people that have done 11 feature films as a producers with a producer credit on it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, that doesn't matter what bloody level of movie we're talking about.
I appreciate that. I remember maybe it was yourself, talking to someone a couple of years back, and maybe it was you talking about the producing aspect and the fact that the stages that you go through. And from from concept to completion and distro, I've gone through that process multiple times.
Yeah.
It's almost ridiculous that I've worn the different hats and done so many different things. Someone said asked me, "Are you a control freak?" And I said, "Well, I don't know if I'm a control freak, but what I try to do with X amount of funds is very specific, and I know I know." What to do and what not to do within those realms, I think me acting in the last few films is probably a chapter
it's a movie in its own right.
Yeah,
it's
true.
locked and loaded. You've created these 11 movies
Yeah.
that are, you know, that are a release print.
Yeah.
They're on DVD, so you can go through them frame for frame, and the next person goes and there's the same frame for frame. Yep. So you've locked them in.
You know, we've met so many times, I guess, over the past few years, and you've always given me great advice, and I appreciate that. What's your take on recasting? Have you ever had to recast? Have you ever been in a position where it's got ugly?
Yeah.
Have you? Do you find that's a normal part of the process?
Well, not a normal part of the process, but it's inevitable. The movie making business is such a clusterfuck of situations that arise and don't arise, and you're trying to pre-produce it so that the least amount of damage can happen to you in the production process and the post-production process, and you can't. It's nearly impossible to structure it so that there's nothing happens. There's no damage
debris,
to it. There's no compromise. You know, you're trying to make something that the least amount of compromise to what the director wants, basically, and what the script is telling you, and what the budget allows and what the schedule allows. There's all sorts of stories, and it's not necessarily the things that I've also. It's films that I've worked on, you know, where someone comes along and says that they think that the actress's eyebrows are too woolly, and so, you know, you change the actress because the eyebrows are too woolly, and whether that's the right move or not, who knows, or you don't change the. There's so many different variations on.
True.
And normally you have other people in casting directors and casting agents involved, and you try and manage it through you know, all these different various people to make sure that doesn't happen, that you don't get in a shit fight.
I love how you described it, because it's almost when you put yourself in that position and you agree and then you take off on your endeavour to make a movie, you know that there's going to be so many challenges. I guess that's what I've always tried to do on mine, is trying to cut out the amount of challenges if I can, if it's possible.
Sure. Well,
you know, but you always come up against something.
That's what everybody's doing, and in fact, that's what that's your next on the next one, and it's inevitable that you'll do another one.
Really?
Absolutely. You know, it's in your bones.
Oh,
it's
God.
in your yeah.
After arrest
I'm reckoning that number 13 is the one that'll be the breakthrough film. You've got one.
Funny you said that, because that's my favourite. One of my favourite numbers.
One more to do. That you got to. It's experimental, and you're going to sort of pushing the elements, and then 13 will be the one that sort of breaks out. Really breaks out. Really goes gangbusters for you.
Interesting.
That's my opinion.
Timeline in my head and with what's going on in my world, that sounds really accurate.
Right.
That sounds really spot on, actually.
Right.
Because I had this number 12. I think it might have been something I saw on Hitchcock, where Hitchcock kind of was like, you know, you've got 12 films. There's 12 months in a year, and 12 is good. And I always thought 12 is a number, but I can see myself doing my way in the 12.
Yeah.
I've just done 11. I could easily do 12. But you're right, something about the 13.
Yeah,
something about that. It's a lucky number.
And maybe, it is a lucky number. And maybe
it's another cycle.
You'll get to a point, well, that's right. You'll sort of, you've got to release a little bit too. Yes, you've got to keep control, but you've also got to, it's a give and take.
Yeah.
It's a real battle between, excuse me, oh shit. It's a real give and take between giving, you know, to everybody, because you're the director and you're the producer, and so everybody's got to know, and you've written the script as well, or you know, you've had a major a role in writing the script, so it's in your head, and also taking from everybody, because they're all giving to you. They're giving back to you to deliver to what's on the screen, and so
it's a very what's the word? just a gracious position to be in.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
as a
yeah.
director, you're very lucky.
Yeah.
You know, you're lucky in any budget really to have anybody come on board and help you enact your vision. You're a very lucky person, and
Yeah.
I think I've been extremely lucky to do what I've done and monetize my, as we say, my own catalogue, which is really a childhood dream, and I've made it happen. And at whatever capacity, whether you know you love, hate, or whatever.
Making movies, it either fits, it fits into the world as we see it at the moment, or it doesn't. You know,
true.
There are not many films that last, that continue to be fashionable, or that continue to
timeless.
be timeless.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Absolutely. In the scheme of things, they're the great movies, and to make a timeless movie, so you are in the gold class, you're in the platinum class if you get to that. You know and that is pure genius. It is. You know, and there are not many people out there that can do that.
No.
But that's the exciting thing, Nathan, that it's possible that you can do it. You do have by just getting out there and kicking butt and putting a movie together and making it is you're giving yourself an opportunity. To do that, and you just might nail it. You just never know.
Like a creation is a creation.
Yeah. Well, you'll go down in history as one of the great schlock horror filmmakers of the 21st century.
That'd be
of
amazing.
Australian.
That'd be amazing.
Well,
that'd be amazing.
I think, and it's because of those assets, and people will look back and go, well, you know, there's the.
I didn't like this and I didn't like that, but
you know, you're doing it. You're practicing. You're a doer. And it's the doing more than that, because there are so many failures out there. There's a lot of
unfinished first films too. A lot of guys that just couldn't get it together at the end.
And a lot of films that have first films that have only been the first films. That's what I'm saying. So 11 films. In your oeuvre, is it oeuvre?
Yeah, oeuvre, yeah.
Oeuvre,
is it not opus? That's something else.
That's something else.
The oeuvre, yeah.
Then, and like I say, 13 or 14 or 15 or 20, you know, you could go on. It sounds to me like I'm looking forward to your next film, because it sounds to me like you have worked on your script, which is a really important, you know, if you can't get your script right first,
don't do it.
If you don't workshop it and work it and work it and work it and you've got so much experience. So the manufacturing process, you clearly nailed that, but it's the development process that's a really key. You got to get the script right, and if you can get that right, then you can manufacture a fine. You can run that. You can produce it. And you can direct it. And you can manufacture it. But so then you need to think about who you're going to cast. And can you get the best performances to tell that story out of those people? And so what you're doing, Nathan, is you're doing a whole heap of jobs that most people couldn't do. But no, there's very few people who could do what you're doing and do it repeatedly, like a serial. A
serial killer.
A serial filmmaker.
Serial filmmaker.
Ongoing.
Yeah, I've been called that before by an EP, a serial filmmaker.
You're a serial filmmaker. And you've honed your skills, and so you've learnt your lessons, and so now you maximise your skills in the areas that you're best at, and back off on the areas that you're not so good at. You need to rationalise yourself. But the love will be there. The love will be definitely there. Be even more there if you can. And I have no doubt that this film will be a better film, even though you went through
that cycle.
And
but like pain equals pleasure or something. One of those.
That's right. Yeah.
If it was too easy, it wouldn't be good.
And in a way, you were sort of, you'd already signed off number 10. So
that's right.
You were sort of straddling between. You were going, well, do I really want to be here?
Correct.
Do I really want to be doing this?
100%.
And were there other people in your life telling you the same thing as well?
I think so. Yeah. I think you're right.
Or so. Who were they?
Yeah, definitely partner. Some family. A couple of close friends. One friend that sort of said, if how and why do you keep doing this to yourself? You know, almost, which I didn't like that comment because, you know, for me, this is my creative endeavor, it's my passion. I think that they probably thought they could never do it. So they were sort of,
well, yeah, you have
you know,
to,
that was
you have to
their
rationalise
thing,
what
you
people
know.
say.
Yeah, and it's kind of, you know, someone's got an opinion, but that's more
Yeah.
directed to what they're experiencing, not so much what I'm doing.
And it's the same, I might just leap in there, it's the same as other people telling you, oh, Nathan, you're a great actor. The problem...
Oh, you're talking about enablers now.
Yeah, well, that's right.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
Right, okay.
And surely you know about
there
them.
will be some, for sure.
Surely
yeah, there
you've
will be
seen
some.
them, you know.
Yeah, there will be some.
So many times I've been at awards nights and things like this where these bloody actors have just got an award and they turn into arseholes and get pissed and they turn, you know.
Yeah, I've seen
lovely
it. I've
people
seen
on the set and then they turn and then they sort of wake up that it's just a piece of metal and it's actually
and now they're out now they're out working for construction somewhere.
Yeah, that's right. They're out of work and everything. So we all take this roller coaster ride. So
true.
Yeah, don't let the enablers bullshit you and tell you.
Yeah,
that's
for sure.
why I prefer
Keep it grounding.
A lot of people don't like me for it, but
but that's what I like about you though, because you're bathed in art. Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, you know, from personal relationship to, I mean, you understand art. It's not just the filmmaking, do you know?
Right.
Like, and I think,
sure.
Okay. I'm similar in a sense because,
thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
that's right. Because I mean, my humble beginnings are sculpting and clay and animation and drawing and sketching and. Your father was an architect, wasn't he? Yeah. So, I mean, you'll laugh, but in school when they say, what do you want to be when you grow up? I said architect.
Yeah, well, there you go.
You know what I mean? Yeah. And wanting to, kind of, I guess, make those drawings come to life.
Right.
And then realising that film was the best artistic medium because it was sight and sound. But also not in those early days thinking that I would be kind of where I am now. I can't say I'm proud of myself because it was very much art and even filmmaking was a personal thing. And I remember when I made my first couple of films, I got a lot of criticism because people were taking them as if they were commercial films, and they're not commercial films, they're my own movies, right? And people were already critiquing me at a very, very young age. So that confused me, and I had to figure out that I must have been the only guy even attempting it in my radius. And so, but from early age, I wasn't going for an Academy Award. I wasn't going for these pressures, let's say, that people had or ideals people had put on me.
Sure.
But then as I got older, I realised I need other people to make these dreams come true. So then it had to become like I guess the marriage and the contract and the communication and I guess also the wanting from other people to be involved in those creative endeavours, which have now become those commercial films. But that was not really the idea in the beginning. Because, I think a lot of teenagers, who want to be, Academy Award-winning actors, they'll stare in the mirror and they'll pray to God and they'll say, please, one day I want to, I'll make it, Mum, I'll get my Oscar. But I wasn't doing that. I was just thinking about the thing I wanted to do and what it would take, and I would do anything to get to the end of that goal. Do you see?
Wow. Okay. So, well, first and foremost, let me say this: that you should be very proud of yourself. You should be, and I have, giving you accolades today. I'm telling you that you're very special. You are. A lot of people will critique your work and say, which I've done. And you're taking it on the chin. It's not. They're not sort of Netflix or Stan. Village Roadshow quality feature films that generate millions of dollars in bums on seats, from bums on seats. But on the other hand, you're practicing what you preach, which is to me is really the bottom line. You're searching for the audience and you're creating movies and you're doing that on a serial basis. So, but maybe we've just getting to a point where I should ask you, what is your goal for the next 5 years? Because maybe that's part of what are you trying to achieve?
I think I'm trying to. Yeah, there's this one film that's just always been there in the back of my mind, and I can't shake it, and and it's only I would only direct it.
Fantastic, and what?
And I would only direct it.
You'd only direct it.
Yeah.
What about producing it?
Co-produce
it.
Yeah. Just to, I guess, to reiterate.
You definitely should. You definitely.
Yeah.
You definitely got to co-produce it. What about writing it?
But also open to, to co.
Right.
I mean, I did the first draft, and it's pretty strong. It's a script that's already won a couple of festival awards in the States.
Oh, great. Okay.
But so it doesn't need much work. It'd probably be more about the workshopping and getting the right talent.
And budget-wise, what's the budget on it?
Look, it's not big. It's not big. I mean, if Film Vic's
Nathan
Premier Bone,
Hill doable?
No. It's a little bit more than that.
It's a little bit
more than that. It's a little bit more than that.
So it's $1 million.
Yeah. Although, well, I've done a budget for it for $1 million.
Yeah.
And I could probably do it for less if the funds didn't come in.
And that's you co-producing and directing it.
Yeah.
I believe that you could be very successful. But it's, of course, it's a hard.
It's demographics.
It's demographic.
It's
and
mathematics.
It's a hard road to hoe type situation. It's a hard task. Master sort of process to get there.
I'm with you, but I appreciate your compliments on what I have done.
Yeah, well,
that you've recognised that what I've done is this.
Yeah.
It's not that, but it's this. But you've recognised that for what it is, and I appreciate that because, talking to someone that's already been there, that's older than me, more experienced, and has done more films and worked with bigger names, etc. For you to recognise that, particularly in my hometown, is very important to me because it's hard to have film mentors in general, particularly in Melbourne. Let's be honest. There's not a lot of people you can talk to, and I think the next gen are very asexual, and the last thing they're going to do is ask someone for advice. Although maybe I've been hanging in the wrong circles, but a lot of the people I know can be very self-centered and over opinionated. And I'm kind of finding that even though I'm getting older, I'm actually still seeking out the people that have been before me and can help me and know more than me. It's how else do you evolve?
Well, look, I agree, and I think you are on the right track, Nathan, and that track it's got a very bright. It's got a potential for a very, very bright future, and then people will look back on you, and go,
what you're saying.
Oh,
he did that.
He did that.
Yeah.
And holy fucking,
wow, he did that.
He did that, and they'll look at you,
and
they'll do theses on you, and PhDs on you.
This guy spent like 10 years doing
these
films.
No, it's more than 10 years, isn't it?
15, yeah.
Yeah,
15.
well, there you go. And 15's a short period of time to do 11 feature films.
The 11's we're probably pushing 20 actually, but there's been gaps. There was like a 7-year gap.
20 years.
Yeah.
So 20 years. Yeah. So have faith in yourself and believe in yourself and look, you may never get there. You may not never.
It's one of those things.
I look at my
and I've accepted that. I know that it also may not happen. I've accepted that.
Don't listen to and there's a lot of movies actually. There's a lot of movies about people that have had exactly the same experiences as you, Nathan, but haven't. But the movie, of course, is made because they did achieve. Because they had all these naysayers saying, "You're a fucking idiot. You're useless. You're hopeless. It'll never happen." And they make it, and they make a movie out of it. It's a biography. So I see you doing that, and I think I think you'll be a role model for young filmmakers who. Yeah, if you do
maybe thought that it couldn't be done.
They thought it couldn't be done, and thought I'm going to give up.
They're all the featurettes and documentaries I always watched growing up. Was it was the story about the guy that was down and out, didn't have the money, no one believed in him. He changed the world, or the world he was in. I love that. Hearts of Darkness, Making of Apocalypse, still one of my favourite docos. There's a new one recently with Richard Stanley, losing the funding and still rocking up to set as an extra. These crazy stories. They've always been the ones that have grabbed me, and I've kind of seeked those kind of opportunities in my own world.
Well, believe in them, and like I say, don't listen to the naysayers, and sort of keep going, and And look, if you get to the end of your life and you didn't, and you've got the 20, you know,
got the 12, 13, 14, 15.
no, well, it'll be about
features.
25, won't it? I mean, another.
Who knows?
So 20 years.
Who knows?
So you've got another 40 years.
Oh
in you,
God,
haven't you?
who knows?
How old are you now?
I couldn't tell you. But Ken, I don't know if I can keep up with that though. I don't know. 25, the way I've been doing it. Oh, I don't. That's a big number. I don't even think I got the time. I don't think I would.
Well, then, so what you have to do is you have to keep narrow. You know, you have to keep finding how to monetize it, fine-tuning it. Yeah.
I think the other thing, because it was so hard to get that particular genre film financed here, meant that I would have had to go into some serious co-writing and development with the funding bodies, and that may have deterred me. But the other way to combat that is, let's say the 11th did well, and I made enough return on that to feed it. I could do it that way. Because I would tell me if you believe this: production's not as expensive as post and all the rest of it if you've got the resources. Because I think productions, is sometimes overestimated.
Yeah. Look, it's a miracle what you're doing, but on the other hand, it can be done. I'm
that's what I mean.
I'm in that. The reason we get on, we understand each other, is because we both
have
been involved in low budget stuff, and for me, the budget is irrelevant in a way. Well, no, that's a terrible thing to say, but you can make a movie for $5, a feature film, a whole feature film
on our phone.
And in fact, we've just shot the thing today.
Done the conversation.
Yeah, which is a feature film length.
Exactly.
Would be an hour and a half, and
there you go. It's a television episode.
Yeah. So it can be done, but the thing is the content, is this content going to, how many people, is it going to be seen by 2 people or 25 people or 20,000 people? And if it becomes commercial, well then you get something out of it, and your reputation grows, and you get people will want to invest in you, which I hope that people will do that, because I believe that you can deliver, you know, you could do something pretty amazing with a bit of money.
I appreciate that, because I've been told that before. It's kind of, you know, with the right budget and fine tuning and and less responsibility, but it could be good.
Yeah, it could be good. But I think you've got yourself into a rut where you'll have
doing it a certain way for so long, and
it's got to make some money. You've got to actually,
you've
got to now turn that bloody thing.
I hear you. The chog needs to,
the chog needs to kick in.
Clog,
that executive producer overseas or whatever, or you have to sort of spin it off to Netflix or something and pick up
next level.
Pick up.
I agree.
Sell it for $300,000 or something. At least get some money back and say, well, look, I've got. You know, I can now.
I did that.
I made $300,000. I've got this one. The 13th one is the one that I can make $3 million or $50 million or something.
Yeah,
you know,
that sounds really very realistic.
Well, that
sounds great.
That's the process.
I like
that you need to get your head around.
And I can get that
and do.
Yeah.
Well, I think you can.
I can do that.
And if you believe in, I believe in you. I believe you can.
Yeah. I reckon I can too, Johnny. I reckon I can.
And like I say, then what's going to happen is that your head's going to go so far up your ass.
Well, let's hope not.
So we'll see what happens about that.
Let's hope not, because
you know, so you can do it.
Well, you know me, but I've always tried to keep it humble. Like even when I've rubbed shoulders with some of the greats, I've kept it. I've kept it humble. I don't believe in all that stuff, you know. But,
but on the other hand, I was actually just telling my son, who you just met a few. He's going up to Sydney, and I said, "Look, mate, you're going to Sydney. Reinvent yourself." He's opening out. He's working on Fortress, a land cafe up in, and reinvent yourself. Make because in this evolve. Yeah, you can actually. Yeah. And I did it. The reason I was saying it because I went and worked in Sydney, and it was a fantastic opportunity to sort of go. Everybody in Melbourne thought, "Oh, John Hipwell, he's just a bloody second assistant director, he's been there, done that." And so I went up to Sydney and became a production manager, and I jumped, a couple of credits, but I'm a production manager. Don't fuck with me. I'm
Yep.
your production manager.
Yep.
You know.
Yep.
Oh shit! Actually, you're a line producer. Well, you know.
Yep.
And so that's you can do that too.
Yeah, right. Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean,
yeah.
I enjoyed the process when we were doing a round of trying to get funding on one project, and we did work well together. I remember that.
Yeah, yeah,
We tried to get something up.
It's a shame we didn't get it up, but
Yeah,
look,
we missed out by a bloody.
bees whiskers.
Oh
they say.
God, absolutely. Yeah, and that was a political thing, I think, wasn't it? It was France instead of Australia or something crazy like that. It was one of those. But I learned from you in that, because I remember being little bit, let's say a little bit egotistical, a little bit,
Sure.
you know, of a show off and thinking, we've got this.
Yeah,
And then you said, and I remember this one meeting, and you said, it's not a good, it's not a great judgment call, you know, just wait.
Yeah.
And I thought, they would. And then they went with France, and I went, shit, he was right. You know, it was one of those.
Yeah.
I was like, my God. So, no, I learned a lot from that process, just to not have all the eggs in one basket, and to just wait, because you know what it's like, it's right up to the line. It could be the day before,
Well,
you think everything's going ahead, and then one day before they
Well,
pull the rug out.
The line's bullshit. It's unless
You know.
the money's in the bank, you can't, you know, forget it.
Yeah,
It
it's
hasn't
crazy.
happened.
Yeah.
You know.
Yep.
Where and you're working, so that's that. You're working in a field which is why it's miraculous what you're doing, is that you're working in a field where there's no money in the bank.
That's great.
So how you do it is extraordinary.
That's great.
And that's
The
why
reinvestment.
You know, that's why I you know, you should be proud of what you're doing, because in the end
Well, I'm making it
I mean, there are
materialise.
two things. You're making a film, and yes, and sure, is it critically acclaimed, and is it commercially successful, and is it a work of art, or is it a work of shit? But on the other hand, it's a work, and it's been done.
still a film.
And there is history. The Cantrells is a famous husband-wife team from the 60s and earlier than that were filmmakers that, you know, you could argue that their stuff was terrible, but other people would argue that it was genius. But they were out there doing stuff, you know.
European. We got told that in the early days. A lot of guys I worked with that would say your style is very European. You know, even your acting's European. It's not. You're not gonna. They'd say to me, you know, you won't be recognised in your own town for what you do, which is another thing.
I mean, don't let that worry you.
No, I didn't. I just.
And you might be discovered. You know, you still might be discovered. One of your works might be discovered in the Netherlands or something, or you know, someone will hear about the Nathan Hill film. The 12th film or something, or the 11th film. I'll do a bit of research, and then shit, this one.
Yeah.
And it goes gangbusters
like
in that
that.
particular territory.
Well, I will take the opportunity to tell you one thing that I haven't told you, which is that I got a call from a distro in America that wants to turn one of them into a graphic novel.
Great.
Which is great. And it's supposed to be a one of 3 books, based on the character from the film that I made. So that's interesting. Okay, so I've already had a Skype meeting recently with the distro and the writer.
Are they offering you money for that?
They are. They actually are.
Great.
They are. It'll be more if it goes well. I think the first book's a bit more pro bono, and if it does well, there'll be more money in the second and third. But that's in the works.
Are they basing it on the movie? On the movie,
with the same title and the same character that I created, which is my Jasper. It's my Jasper action comedy.
Oh,
shit. So I thought that was great, because they approached me, and that came left of field. I didn't expect it. Came out of nowhere.
And you own all the rights to all your films, don't you?
Yep.
So you're in a fantastic position to repurpose all your films.
Yeah.
So with Chat GPTI, whatever it is, chat sort of, what you can do is you can, well, this is just a little bit of a Hipwellian sort of concept, but you could take your movie, and you know how I've got a little bit of thing about your acting, and you could, and you could repurpose it in an animated.
There's that,
Have you thought about doing
that? There's that. There's the graphic novel. There's
the graphic novel. You've got all the audio, you've got all the music, and you've got all the scenes and everything. And you just tell the computer, you put it through a processor, and you process it to change the visual look of it.
Yeah, right.
To a graphic.
It's like the scanner darkly. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah. Yeah.
could be.
It's cool.
It could be
Well,
really
some
amazing.
of them have been are now audiobooks as well.
Yeah,
I don't know if I
audiobooks.
told you,
Yeah,
some of them
yeah,
some are now
yeah,
audiobooks.
yeah,
I'm excited about this graphic novel because it's a whole thing.
So there's
but
a
yeah,
whole world. You've got a whole world.
There's a whole
so,
world,
so,
like you said, with the copyright.
but
yeah.
you know,
Yep.
stick
Getting
with
back
this
to
goal.
the 13.
13.
Like a 13.
And you know, make me an
like
offer and
it.
I can't refuse, and I'll be there for you.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Thank you, my friend. Thank you. I love it. That's great.